Stand clear of the closing doors, please.
Just an absolutely horrific, ugly, brutal day for the New York Mets, capping off what was, in all honesty, just an absolutely abysmal series from them out in St. Louis over these last 3 days. As this afternoon, the Mets lose to the Cardinals in walk-off fashion in the bottom of the 11th inning. Their offense asleep at the wheel once again for, let's call it how it is, the 5th consecutive game. And mind you, they have now played 6 games as they are unable to do anything against Matthew Liberatore for the first 4 2/3 innings of this game. Sets everybody down in order. And at the end of it all, the Mets have just a measly run to show for the entire afternoon, despite 11 innings of baseball, despite having the leadoff runner on second in the 9th inning, in the 10th inning, and in the 11th inning. The Mets somehow find a way to out-Mets themselves at every possible corner this series. It is an ugly 3-game set with the Cardinals as the Mets drop 2 out of 3 to a team that has put everybody in baseball on notice, anyone that will listen, that they are in full rebuild mode. Meanwhile, the Mets' $350 million plus payroll team finds a way to vomit all over themselves. I'm Tony Metro. I am not pleased right now, guys, but this is your place for daily Mets content. Post-game streams after every Mets game, or as many as we can get to. Like I always say, man, it is not fun doing a post-game stream after games like this one or like last night. This one was bad, but I appreciate you guys tuning in. If you're not already subscribed, go hit that subscribe button right now. Leave a like on this video, I really appreciate it. Helps the channel a lot. And you can follow me on all the other platforms, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Links to all of those are in the description of this video down below. What an awful game. What a just horrific game from the Mets today. As I said in the open, Matthew Liberatore going perfect through the first 4 2/3 of this game before Mark Vientos finally gets a base hit, who, by the way, mind you, they had been retired 26 consecutive batters going back to Tuesday night's game. Vientos gets a double to finally break that up. The Mets obviously do nothing with it. You get Francisco Lindor leading off the 6th inning with a walk, promptly gets picked off before a pitch is even thrown to Juan Soto. Don't forget Francisco Lindor also forgetting how many outs there were in the 1st inning on what could have been a tailor-made double play up the middle. It doesn't end up obviously harming the Mets. No runs come home, but wow, Francisco Lindor, where was your head today, man? It looked like this team went out drinking last night. They looked like they were hung over. They looked like they had no idea what they should be doing, where they should be going, where the ball should be getting thrown to. Their at-bats were pitiful. Everything about this Mets series was horrific. 1 for 29 with runners in scoring position over this 3-game set. And I am not talking about the 2010 Phillies rotation. I am talking about Andre Pallante, Matthew Liberatore, and whoever the hell pitched on Monday for the Cardinals. This was an unacceptable performance from the Mets lineup on so many different levels. And it overshadows a couple of really good things that happened. But at the end of the day, the Mets go and combine for 5 runs in this 3-game series against the Cardinals. That's after not scoring any runs in the first 9 innings on Saturday in the win against the Pirates. That's after only scoring 2 runs on Sunday and failing to come through in extras against Pittsburgh. Getting shut out on Tuesday. On Monday, yeah, they put up 4. One of them is a bases-loaded walk to Juan Soto. Another is a fielder's choice off of the bat of Bo Bichette. Jared Young came through with an RBI double. Oh, whoop-de-doo. Great. Yeah, I'm sure that will continue to happen. That is what is going to carry this Mets lineup for sure. Man, I am fed up, and we are 6 games in. Mets baseball is back. Let's go to the chat. DeGoat Joey, hey Tony, what's up? DeGoat, how you doing, man? Chicken Cow, hi, hey Chicken Cow, good to see you guys. Jimmy James C, here we go again. Here we go again, man. You can change the uniform, you could change the manager, you could change the owner. It just doesn't seem to matter. It is embedded in this franchise's DNA. For whatever reason, they just cannot seem to keep from tripping all over themselves. I mean, you want to talk about what should have been a walk in the park series? Now, granted, I give the Cardinals credit. They played some good baseball, okay? They don't throw the ball around. They're not a sloppy team by any means. I thought they put up some pretty good at-bats the entire series. So I'm not just going to say that they're a team that you should have just walked all over. But if you're a team with a World Series aspirations like I would hope that the Mets have, I know I as a fan have that, considering the payroll, considering the talent that they have brought in, the roster turnover, everything they've told us since Steve Cohen became the owner of this team, then you should win at a minimum 2 out of 3 against a bunch of kids. And that's what this Cardinals team is. On Monday, they started a team of all homegrown guys. Their average age is 27 years old for that roster. They are throwing guys out of the bullpen. Met retread Ryan Stanek yesterday with a scoreless inning. He pitched again today. They go to Jojo Romero. You have the guy there in the top of the 11th who can't throw a strike. They bring in, I don't even know who it is. They bring in another guy, and boom, boom, consecutive outs. No harm, no foul. I mean, that is just a completely inexcusable, unacceptable performance from the Mets, and we're going to get a little bit deeper into it, hand out grades for everybody here pretty shortly. But let me get back to the chat here. Dead Buzz, the Stern Mendoza Brain Trust. Man, this feels like a 2025 kind of game. It feels like a 2025 kind of week so far. The way Sunday went, unable to come through in the big spot there in the extras. Again, the same story here today. Monday, okay, you win, but like not in very convincing fashion. The lineup didn't do a whole lot. They went 1 for 6 with runners in scoring position that day. Yesterday, they go 0 for 4 with runners in scoring position. They put up 3 freaking hits yesterday, leave 4 men on base. I mean, just awful. Since opening day, the Mets as a team have a collective 189 batting average and are averaging 2.4 runs per game. Their average with runners in scoring position, 113. So take away Thursday's game last week on opening day where O'Neal Cruz misplayed 2 balls and opened the door for the Mets to knock Paul Skeens out of the game. And this offense has been putrid, just as the thumbnail says. Just absolutely awful. Basically, Tony the Legend, but this team knew, what is it? Sorry, I lost it. I'm sorry, Tony the Legend, but this team knew rat's an old ship. Hey, I like that expression. I hope that's not the case. It's 6 games, but I got to blow off some steam right now. Jimmy James, A, Beatty should be starting. B, Simeon is trash and we're handcuffed to him. C, we still can't even sacrifice fly a run in with less than 2 outs. I mean, what is the approach there? The 9th inning, you get Jorge Polanco with a leadoff double. Luis Robert strikes out, Brett Beatty grounds out, and then it's another strikeout for Marcus Simeon. No shocker there. Simeon has been absolutely brutal, to add to your point B there. He really has just been horrific. Flies out there again there in the top of the 11th with the bases loaded and 2 outs. But it's a collective effort. Yeah, Simeon's been terrible. But yes, this team, for whatever reason, still cannot get the job done in big situations. I mean, again, small sample size, 6 games. But it feels like exactly what we saw from this team last year and what we saw from the previous core as well. And I was convinced they brought in some new blood. Maybe shaking that up would help fix those kinds of issues, especially 2 guys in Polanco and in Bichette who are known for their prowess with hitting with runners in scoring position. And so far, it has been worse than anything that we saw last year. If not worse, equally as bad. I'll put it like that. I mean, just insanity. Danny Caps, Mets, last 5 games, a 189 average. There you go. Took the words out of my mouth. Danny Caps, 1 run in the last 23 innings. And that 1 run coming from the Juan Soto solo home run, which, of course, could have been a 2-run home run. Now, I am a big believer in the butterfly effect. I don't know that Soto's getting that same pitch and hitting it out of the yard, but Francisco Lindor inexplicably getting picked off as he's adjusting his oven mitt while taking his lead off of first base. And again, like I said, in the first inning, not knowing how many outs there were. This is a guy that we wanted to anoint the captain after 2024. And he cannot have games like this. It doesn't matter. The captaincy debate is all out of the question now. It doesn't even matter because Steve Cohen already put that one to bed, and I don't care about that stuff anyway. But you could still act and lead like a captain, and forgetting how many outs there are and getting picked off in the 6th inning when you're only the counts on fingers 1, 2, 3rd. Sorry, I didn't mean to flip you off. 3rd base runner of the game. That's just not captain type of stuff there, Francisco Lindor. Absolutely horrific. Biscuits, Holmes, Senga, and Freddie, only bright spots. The rest of the team is Dugats. Steve, I love it. They got rid of the 3 other players they said were the problem, and the team looking worse. And who is the common denominator? Lindor. I mean, look, there's going to be people that don't like Lindor. I get it. I do still like Lindor. I don't think he's the problem. But a game like today, I'm not going to pull punches. I'm not going to mince words. He was horrific. He was horrific. He didn't get a hit. He got picked off. You forgot how many outs there were. He's supposed to be a leader. Captain or not, he's supposed to be a leader for this team. And that is not leadership type of stuff from the performance we got from him today. Mental, physical, none of it. Danny Cap's got to clean it up. I mean, this was just sloppy baseball. I mean, even the final play of the game. I mean, you want to talk about a blue ball? You want to talk about the ultimate tease? This is such a typical Mets loss. To not score in the 9th with the leadoff runner on 2nd, not score in the 10th with the leadoff runner on 2nd, and then in the 11th, not score with the leadoff runner on 2nd. The bases loaded at one point. But then to get the double play after the intentional walk of Herrera, Tobias Myers, I mean, just guts. Huge cojones to even, first of all, send this game to the 11th, pitching a scoreless 10th inning. But to get the double play from Burleson, and then all you need is one more out, and you got a chance again. The Mets, like a cat, 9 lives, their offense. Maybe they'll get it done in the top of the 12th. Probably not, but maybe. And a little blooper that just falls in front of a diving Carson Bench who got a late jump on it. Right into that Bermuda Triangle of Beatty, Simeon, and Carson Bench down the right field line. You just can't draw them up any more painful than what we see as Mets fans sometimes. You just can't. But it's all because of the offense. Let's be honest. It's because of this lineup. And I'm glad you brought up the pitchers there because I'm going to start handing out my grades. Let me go through it here a little bit with you guys. First, let me finish the chat really quick. Danny Caps, yeah, pitching is the bright side, no doubt. Joe Saturn, offense has been anemic. Anemic is being kind to the Mets lineup right now. Big Pack and Manny. Mets missed the playoffs last year by 1 game. Let's just hope this game wasn't this year's 1 game. Yeah, I mean, man, we are never going to beat the allegations until they're back into the postseason. Let's see. Chris Pritchard says 1 for 29 runners in scoring position, average 34. How does a major league team do this? It's a joke. I mean, dude, it doesn't make sense. You changed the players. You changed hitting coaches. You brought in a new director of hitting for the entire organization. It just doesn't make sense how it continues to happen to this team. I don't get it. I just don't get it. This is a franchise-wide situation that goes back years. And somehow, no matter the personnel, no matter who's in the batter's box, the Mets find a way not to get the job done with runners in scoring position. It's just, I can't even explain it. Damon says, just like last year, only this year, the year the disappointment is starting earlier after a great start. Downfall is starting way earlier this year already. I don't know what else to even say, Metro. Yo, Damon, I appreciate you being here. Look, the one thing I'll try to say is, look, last year started great, ended bad. Maybe this year's going to start not so great, and it's going to end well. Look how 2024 went. Started terrible. Mets came out of it, had that great playoff run. Even 2015, same situation. Let's be honest. We know when there's high expectations on this organization, for whatever reason, even going back to the 1960s, they don't seem to perform well. When there are no expectations, they seem to do well. It doesn't make any sense to me, just like the runners in scoring position thing. J.M. Gonzalez, Membozo will be gone by the playoffs. He hasn't changed and is still making the same awful decisions. I mean, man, if you think he's going to be gone, then it's going to be well before the playoffs, because in that case, it would tell me the Mets aren't trending toward postseason play. So we will see, man. But, at the end of the day, he's not the one in the batter's box swinging the bat. I thought he did a decent job using the bullpen today and on Monday, partly because yesterday he didn't do such a great job going to Richard Lovelady. At the end of the day, you go 1 for 29 with runners in scoring position. I mean, yeah, I'm not super pleased with Mendoza's job either so far, but how could you really blame the guys sitting in the dugout and not the guys standing at the batter's box? How could you not blame the guys going 1 for 29 with runners in scoring position with a 189 average in their last 5 games? a 113 average in the last 5 games with runners in scoring position. I mean, I don't see how I can put that blame on Carlos Mendoza. Pushed all the right buttons with the bullpen today. And credit to the bullpen. They were fantastic again, just like they were on Monday, just like they were on Saturday. But the guys didn't get the job done. And most importantly, the guys in the batter's box, this lineup, just brutal. Ray, to back-to-back wasted started pitching outings. Yep, no doubt about it. 2 Cats. Tony, what a pathetic series. This team is a copy and paste of last year. 1 good game to tease you, then nothing for a while. Risk 1 for 29. Terrible fundies today, no doubt. Fundies were terrible. I mean, you saw Alvarez with the ball there that deflected off his glove, that he was a little nonchalant about going to pick up. You saw a runner advance to second. Again, doesn't end up harming you, but it's these little things. It's these little things that add up to big things in other games. And even despite it not hurting them on that particular play with Alvarez behind the plate, they still end up losing this game. I mean, you could pick apart this entire series and you could pick something from just about everybody not named Tobias Myers, Devin Williams, Luke Weaver, Brooks Raley, or any of the 3 starting pitchers and say they didn't do something right. Maybe add Juan Soto to that. Juan Soto continues to hit. So maybe you add Juan Soto to that. Luis Robert had the issues in center field yesterday. That cost Kodai Senga. Brett Beatty did absolutely nothing at the plate. Mark Vientos, I mean, barely played, but, you know, is what it is. Carson Bench didn't do a whole lot. He had 2 hits the other day, so that was nice to see. But today, hitless there with an opportunity to put the Mets out in front. And then late break on that ball that falls in front of him for the walk-off. You could pick about every single player other than the ones that I just excused and say they didn't do something right in one of these 3 games this series. And that is why we are talking about them dropping 2 out of 3 to a team that is in a full rebuild mode. And it's unacceptable. 2 Cats, 2 bad teams to start off, and easiest schedule 3-3 come May. They better have a lot fixed. Yeah, look, that's the only bright spot. That's the only silver lining, is that it's the first week of the year. It's early, obviously, and they have a lot of time to get things figured out. But if you're looking at the totality of these first 6 games, 3 with the Pirates, who, yeah, they're improved a little bit in their lineup. Their relievers were pretty solid. And then you look at what they had to face up against with the Cardinals, a team, again, that has an average age of 27 years old. I'd expect at a minimum of 4-2. And I know we're saying, well, you're only 1 game off of that trend, right? You're only a game off of that. Well, it's not necessarily even just the fact that they're 3-3. It's the way that they lost their 3 games so far. One of them in extras, the other one getting shut out, and then today, a walk-off at the hands of the St. Louis rebuilding Cardinals. Just absolutely brutal. Ray, Tony agreed. The right flowers distributed. I appreciate that. So, here's what we're going to do here, guys. I'm going to take a look. I had some notes prepared, and I was planning on actually making a full-length video, non-live one, but let's go through it. Let's talk about the lineup. Monday, the Mets actually had 10 hits on Monday. Whew, could you believe that? The Mets had 10 hits on Monday. Leading the way, Jorge Polanco had 2. Carson Bench chipped in 2. Everyone in the Mets lineup had a hit on Monday, except for Marcus Semien. No surprise there. Mets also drew 5 walks, but the bad and the ugly. The Mets left 11 men on base on Monday. And even worse, went a disgusting 1 for 14 with runners in scoring position. So we just talked about their 1 for 29. That 1 hit came on Monday. It was a Bo Bichette hit to drive in a run, and that was nearly half of their at-bats with runners in scoring position. And they only got 1 hit. 1 for 14 with runners in scoring position on Monday. Bichette left 3 on. Francisco Alvarez left 2 on. The Mets have just not been good in those situations, runners on second and third. Tuesday, there's no good. It's all ugly. They get just 3 freaking hits off of Andre Palante and company from the Cardinals bullpen. Jared Young getting 1 of them. Again, I'm sure that is sustainable. Meanwhile, Juan Soto accounted for the other 2 hits. Just no chances. They leave 6 men on base. They go 0 for 4 with runners in scoring position. So if we're counting, that now puts them at 18. And today, we know what happened. Their only source of offense, a Juan Soto home run. They go 0 for 11 with runners in scoring position. Let us not forget the 9th, 10th, and 11th innings where they go back-to-back back-to-back innings, starting with the leadoff runner on second. In the ninth, because of a leadoff double off the wall from Jorge Polanco, Mets unable to bring him home. The 10th, with a ghost runner, unable to score him. Fortunate to even have an opportunity again there in the top of the 11th, thanks to Tobias Myers having some huge cojones and sending it that far. And again, the Mets come up empty despite getting even deeper into the St. Louis bullpen. There is no way I can sugarcoat this. The Mets get an absolute big fat F for the lineup in this series. F minus. If I could go any lower, I would. Give me a shovel. I'll find a way. That was the most disgusting series I have seen from the Mets offense in a long time, and that is really saying something considering what we just watched from them at times in 2025. F, F, F for the Mets offense in this series. Now, let's try to turn things around a little bit. Let's get to the starting pitchers. It was excellent. We started on Monday with Clay Holmes, his first start of the year. Got in a little bit of trouble there in the first, had the balk, gave up a run, tie ball game, but he settled in nicely. Now, we know Clay Holmes goes deep into deep into counts, bringing his pitch count up at times. He still managed to get 5 2/3, very nearly completed 6 innings, but ended up giving up a 2-out home run to Nolan Gorman, and that was the end of his day. But still, 5 2/3 from Clay Holmes, gives up those 2 runs on 4 hits, 3 walks, while striking out 5. See, even Mookie's upset about it, right? It wasn't a perfect outing for Holmes, but he picked up the win, picked up where he left off from last year. Was very, very pleased with what we got from Clay Holmes. And then, speaking of last year, what were we going to get out of Kodai Senga? Tale of 2 halves for him. First half, excellent. Hamstring injury. Second half, had to take a minor league assignment. He went out there. I thought he was excellent. He actually gives the Mets the longest start that they have had this year from any of their starters. Completes all 6 innings. The only blemish on his record is that 3rd inning. And let's be honest, we know what happened. Luis Robert misjudging a fly ball for a leadoff double, overthrowing the cutoff man to make it 2nd and 3rd with no outs. And then it was Senga getting victimized by a 2-run double. Those are the only 2 runs that come in off of Senga yesterday. He ends up giving you 6 innings, strikes out 9, strikes out the side on 2 different occasions. I was very impressed, very encouraged by what we saw from Kodai Senga yesterday. If you look up the definition of hard luck loser in the dictionary, it would be Senga because of the Mets' lousy offense yesterday. And it continued into today because Freddie Peralta took the hill, and he was great. He was matching zeros with Matthew Liberatore, but that's what I want you to focus on. Matching zeros with Matthew Liberatore, because the Mets offense, once again, to take a word here from one of our commenters, was anemic today. Hitless through the first 4 2/3 innings. Base runnerless. Actually, he was twirling a perfect game, nearly through 5 against the Mets. But Peralta was money good on his side as well, as he was able to get through the Cardinals lineup with pretty much no issue, despite having absolutely no margin for error. Runs into some trouble there in the 6th inning. I'd like to see him get an opportunity to try to get out of it. He leaves with an out and 2 runners aboard in a favor of Huascar Brazoban. Brazoban, of course, ends up giving up a base hit with 2 outs to Nolan Gorman to tie this ball game at 1 apiece. That is the 1 earned run charged to Freddie Peralta. But overall, I was very, very happy with what we got from Freddie. Really impressed with him. I think he ends up going, 5 2/3, 3 hits, 2 walks. I think those were the final numbers on Freddie Peralta today. We got really great starting pitching. So I am giving the Mets starters an A- for their performances in this 3-game series with the Cardinals. The only thing I can nitpick is I'd like to see him go a little bit further. I'd like to see Freddie hopefully get in and finish a 6th inning this year. I'd like to see Clay Holmes do the same. Both of them give you 5 2/3. So really nice things to build on. I can't believe Kodai Senga actually went out for the 6th and finished the inning. Strikes out the side, as a matter of fact, to put a punctuation mark on his first start back from last year. So really nice things all around. 92 pitches, by the way, from Senga. Great pitching. Just want to see them go a little bit deeper. And another positive on the pitching side, the bullpen was nails this entire week against the Cardinals. I mean, the Mets could easily have won 2 out of 3, if not swept this series, if their offense even just had a modicum of success with runners in scoring position out in St. Louis. But unfortunately, not the case. As on Monday, they go to that great formula that they used again today. They started with Tobias Myers, who got the final out there in the 6th in place of Clay Holmes. He came back to strike out the side in the 7th inning. Hand the ball off to Brooks Raley. He works around a hit. And then you gave it up to Luke Weaver, and then Devin Williams for the 9th, who was able to get his first save as a New York Met. That's the formula. I mean, those are the 4 most trusted guys. It's the circle of trust for the Mets right there. And it worked perfectly on Monday. Nice to see Devin Williams get his first save as a Met. On Tuesday, we know the Richard Lovelady experience continues, and right on cue, a leadoff home run. Now, it doesn't end up being the difference in the game. It was already 2-0. That made it 3-0, and it felt like it was already out of reach, to be honest with you. But that put it even further out of reach as Lovelady ends up pitching 2 innings. He gives up that 1 run. Could have very nearly been worse had Jared Young not made a diving play at first base to save a ball from going down the line with 2 runners aboard. But Lovelady, I mean, look, it is what it is. We're just waiting on a DFA at some point. Hopefully it comes soon. I don't know when, but for now, they are just going to continue to put him out there as the sacrificial lamb to soak up innings, and that just be that. And on Wednesday, the Mets go to Brazoban, like I said, in the 6th inning to help clean up Freddie Peralta's mess. Gets the first out. Unfortunately, gives up the 2-out base hit to Nolan Gorman. Does well to get a strikeout and put that inning to bed without any further damage. They go to Brooks Raley for the 7th, and Brooks Raley just does Brooks Raley things, going 1-2-3 there. Luke Weaver with a 1-2-3 8th inning as well. Devin Williams started shaky. We know the 4-pitch walk today in the 9th. Then he went 3-1 on the next batter, but he's able to find a way out of the inning unscathed and send this one to extras, where Tobias Myers would take over and work around the ghost runner in the 10th and very nearly get out of the 11th. He did his job. He got a pop-up. The Mets infielders / Carson Bench don't get to it. It ends up in no man's land, and that is why we are sitting here today as a very frustrated Mets fans as they are walked off. But the Mets bullpen, I'm going to give it an A. I'm going to give it a straight up A. I mean, tremendous job from Tobias Myers on Monday and today. Devin Williams walked the tightrope a little bit tonight, no doubt about it, but was excellent on Monday, 1-2-3 inning for his first save in the orange and blue. Luke Weaver still scoreless so far through his first few appearances as a Met. Brooks Raley, I mean, man, I don't even know what to say about the guy. I can't say any more good things about Brooks Raley. The only thing that keeps this from being an A+ is, of course, Richard Lovelady. And you know what? I don't even really blame Richard Lovelady. He's on the roster. He's going to have to pitch. This is the formula that they've been developing. Put Richard Lovelady in there when you want to save the rest of your bullpen. He's just not really an MLB pitcher. So I can't even get mad at himself. But I can get upset with the next guy that we're going to grade. And then I'm going to get back to your guys' comments. Carlos Mendoza. Carlos Mendoza has been a guy that I've tried to defend at times. Like I said earlier, he's not the one on the mound. He's not the one in the batter's box. He's not the one that went 1 for 29 with runners in scoring position in this series. But there were some questionable calls from Mendy out in St. Louis this week. First off, back-to-back starts to Jared Young on Monday and on Tuesday. Now, I get it. Young's on the team, just like Lovelady. You got to use him at some point. And Young got a hit in both games, including an RBI double on Monday. I had to eat my words on that. But you're going to take Brett Beatty out, who had been swinging the bat pretty well over the weekend in Pittsburgh, in favor of Jared Young? I don't know how much I love that. But then in the 6th, not only that, but to put him in the 6th and in the 5th spot in the order, is that really necessary? To put Jared Young in the 5th and 6th spot? And I understand he came through with a base hit, and one of the only 3 hits that the Mets had on Tuesday. And I understand he had an RBI double on Monday. But he also failed to come through in the 2 opportunities that he had yesterday. In the 1st inning, with runners on 1st and 2nd, strikes out. And then again in the 6th inning, with runners on 1st and 3rd. He lines out into a hard luck double play. Admittedly, it wasn't that great of a well-struck ball, but up the middle. And of course, Bo Bichette gets picked off at first. Just another folly in the Mets resume from this week against St. Louis. Another mental mistake by this team. But Jared Young should not be hitting 5th or 6th. Jared Young should not be getting back-to-back starts over anybody on this roster. So that's one thing I have to question about Carlos Mendoza. I found it strange they wouldn't put Beatty at first base against the righty there instead. I found it even stranger that yesterday they decided to pinch hit Beatty in the 7th for Vientos when a righty came in, rather than pinch hitting for Jared Young, because that removed the DH spot for the Mets. So if the lineup had any ideas of forming a comeback yesterday, which, let's be honest, they didn't clearly, they would not have had the DH spot anymore, and they would have had to continue to pinch hit for the pitcher there. So I didn't love that decision from Mendy, not that it ended up actually coming up in the game yesterday, but still, one of those things where, what if the Mets did get that far and the lineup did finally wake up? They'd have to continuously be pinch hitting in the DH spot now because you removed Vientos for Beatty instead of having Beatty pinch hit for Jared Young. And then finally, look, we've talked about it. It's a dead horse. I'm going to keep beating it, though. Richard Lovelady. I mean, there is a clear strategy by this front office that has been delivered on down to Carlos Mendoza. Put Richard Lovelady in games when you don't want to use the most important parts of your bullpen. And to a degree, I understand, because look what happened last year to Huascar Brazaban and to Reed Garrett and to AJ Minter. They were called upon far too many times, too early, and too often in March, April, and the beginning of May. And all three of them either got injured or started to perform poorly. Brazaban went down, never was the same after that. Reed Garrett went down. He was not very good after that, kind of picked it up toward the end of the year. And obviously we know AJ Minter done in the middle of, I guess it would have been late April, middle of May, something like that, with the torn lat. So I get it to a degree, but you're waving the white flag when you put Richard Lovelady in, man. And again, it's not the difference in Tuesday's game, his solo home run that he gave up to lead off the 7th inning, but you're just not giving yourself a very good chance when you put a guy like that out there. I said it before about him and about Jared Young, good enough to make an MLB team, but I just don't think good enough to compete at a high enough level with other big leaguers across the diamond. So I'm going to give Mendoza a C- for this series. I was going to give him a C, but I'll give him a C-. I think that putting Young in there in back-to-back games for starts is egregious. I think not getting Beatty in there to start in at least one of those, I don't understand. They had Luis Robert off on Monday, and then he ended up coming in for defensive purposes anyway, so I don't know. They said that was a scheduled maintenance day for him. He ended up having to go play the field anyway, so I don't know what to believe about what they're telling us anymore. And at the end of the day, there's got to be something done about this hitting with runners in scoring position. That's not necessarily on Mendy, but it's the mental miscues we saw today. Alvarez letting that ball get by him, lackadaisically picking it up while a runner advances. It's Francisco Lindor forgetting how many outs there are in the first inning. It's Francisco Lindor getting picked off. That falls on the manager too, just as much as it does as the player individually. So I'm going to give Carlos Mendoza a C-. And overall, it's an ugly series. The Mets are 3-3. I just went on a soliloquy, guys. I'm going to go back to the chat now, but let me know, what are your guys' grades for the team? Give it to me in the comment section down here or in the chat. Let me know. Lineup, starting rotation, bullpen, and Carlos Mendoza as the manager. Give me those 4 grades for those guys. Like I said, I am giving an F- to the lineup. I am giving an A- to the starting rotation, a straight up A to the bullpen, and a C- to Carlos Mendoza. So let me know what you guys think. Let me go back to the chat here, and then I think we're going to wrap things up here pretty shortly, guys. We probably won't have any live streams for the next couple days because they are heading out to San Francisco for the next 4 games. Definitely over the weekend. Sunday for sure. We'll see about Saturday, but I'm thinking that a lot of those games are going to be ending about like 1 a.m. Eastern. So not sure we'll be doing live streams, but there'll still be tons of content here on the channel. So hit the subscribe button if you're not already subscribed. Leave a like on this video. Go ahead and do that now. I really appreciate it from you guys. And like I said, you can follow me on all the other platforms, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Links to all those are in the description of this video down below. Let's see. Francisco Campos says, I hope this game is a wake-up call for Mendoza. Things need to change. We need Beatty playing. Simeon needs to be benched. He's been useless. Alvarez was useless today as well. Yeah, it's getting really old with Marcus Simeon, who I think is 0 for his last 17. it seems to be coming up in a lot of big spots lately, and it's just not coming through. As far as Alvarez, I was feeling really good about what we saw from him on opening day. The opposite field base hit, that bomb of a home run. I think he's taken some decent at-bats, but he's been chasing that slider into the left-handed batter's box a little bit more than I'd like to see lately, so hopefully he can get that sorted out. But like I said, man, this team looked like they came into the ballpark hungover. It feels like they're like, tomorrow's getting rained out. There's no way we're going to play. Let's go out tonight, boys. And they came into the park stinking of beer. I mean, it just was an ugly, lethargic, awful game from everyone not a part of the starting rotation and not a part of the bullpen. Just really, really brutal. Let's see. Danny Caps leads the pitching as a bright side. Yes, absolutely. Who else do we got here? I'm missing some of you guys. Edward Christian Aquan, what is up? Mets pitchers getting pressurized as hell because those bats are still on spring training. Disgusting. By the way, pulling out Vientos, all bats are dead in the water, especially with RISP early season blues LGM. Well said, man. Well said, Edward. Yeah, no doubt. They're in spring training mode. And again, I've said it before. Bats are usually a little bit behind pitchers at this point in the year, but it has been bad. And yeah, pulling out Vientos, who had that double down the left field line. I don't really understand that. He pinch hit for him yesterday as well in the middle of that one instead of pinch hitting for Jared Young. I really don't understand that. And Freddie Peralta, I mean, yeah, he goes 5 2/3. The reason he gets pulled there instead of getting to keep pitching is because it's a 1-0 game, because the Mets lineup gives these pitchers absolutely nothing to work with. I mean, just complete pressure every single inning, having to be perfect. I mean, can't get on Freddie for not being able to complete the 6. Probably would have got an opportunity there if it's, say, 4-0 or even 3-0. I mean, that's not even asking for very much. But this Mets lineup has just been completely useless lately. Who else we got here? I missed a few. You Biscuits Shoots. Freddie wanted to stay in. He wasn't happy when Mendy came walking out. Yeah, I saw that. He was not happy. I would have liked to see him get an opportunity to try to complete it. Brazoban did a good job. Unfortunately, is a 2-out, 2-strike hit to Nolan Gorman. But I thought Brazo did an all right job. Gets the final out after that with a strikeout to prevent further damage. But Jumping Boy, is this like the 2023 season to you so far? I wouldn't say that. It feels like 2025 though. It feels a lot like 2025 still. That's how I'm feeling at this moment right now. Ray says, Sang is shorter and less heavy than Manaea, but yet he throws harder. He packs a punch, man. Sang, man. Ghost fork and all. Jumping Boys. I know it's just 6 games in, but the Mets are already, unfortunately, mid. It's too early to really get a fair judgment of the team. It is, because they could go rip off 6 more games in a row right now and be 25 for 50 with runners in scoring position. And maybe the pitching doesn't do as well. So right now, this is, I think we'd all agree, the bullpen is something we really trust. The starting rotation has been really good, and we don't like the lineup, and it's been terrible. That could all flip in the next 6 games. It's just too early to make any declarative statements about them. But I can tell you how I'm feeling right now, and I think how you guys are feeling, which is that this is not what we were expecting to see out of this group. 3-3 through the first 2 series against Pittsburgh and against St. Louis. Just not good enough. Let's see. Alvin Solano, Brandon Nimmo will be an all-star for Texas this season. Yeah, I wish Nimmo the best. I do, but it kind of stings. I'm not going to lie. That would sting, especially with the way that Simeon has been swinging it so far. Let's see. Edward says, and now we can have at least an argument of the 4 shortstop experiment failing and hot garbage Bo mentally now dealing with his defensive struggles and his non-existent bat. Look, defensively, it hasn't been a huge issue for this team. They haven't been booting the ball around or anything like that too much. But it's been more mental stuff for me lately and just not looking into the game more than anything. But we will see. I will reserve full judgment until we get a little bit bigger of a sample size. But today I had to pop off with, blow some smoke here. All even with Barry. Mendoza is back with the head scratchers early this season. Super frustrating. 100%. Okay, chicken cow, I get it. Cubs better, you say. Okay, great, man. Good for you. All even, Barry, yeah, man, I'm not loving everything that Mendy's been doing outside, mostly of what he's been doing as far as button pressing for the bullpen. I thought he's done a decent job managing the bullpen, but some of these lineups, some of the situations where he has been pinch hitting for guys, I have not loved those very much. But bullpen-wise, I think other than putting in Richard Lovelady in 3 out of the first 5 games, I thought he's been doing a decent job in picking and choosing lanes for relievers to go. Ray says Mendy gets an F on post-game rationales. Yeah, he's manager speak. It's manager speak. Classic, just he's never going to actually tell you the full truth of truths. Jimmy James, as good as this bullpen has been, the offense, or lack thereof, is going to tax them by placing them in extra inning situations just to lose and waste their arms. I mean, 3 freaking extra inning games in the first 6 games of the season. It's making these streams really difficult to do. I got to be honest, as I'm trying to get all these things already, the graphics and the video and all that crap. But Jimmy James, it was actually 0-0 when Peralta got pulled. He wanted a chance to get out of his own mess. I think he had 1 out. He had got him 1 out in that inning, and then they pulled him. But there were 2 men aboard, if I'm not mistaken. I think it was first and second, maybe first and third. I can't recall. But there were 2 men aboard and 1 out. He had just got him, but he wanted a chance to get out of it. Yes. Edward, F for all the batters not named Soto. A for all pitchers, to be honest. They're doing their job, at least holding St. Louis to low-scoring game. And C for Mendy, many weird decisions. Jared Young in mid and Love Lady. Yep, I'm with you, man. We're almost lockstep on those grades, Edward. I totally agree with you, dude. Frankie says, can't believe I'm saying this, but I'm no longer a Mets fan. Was even a fan for 50 years with last-place teams. I detest Mendy and Stearns. Wow. Frankie out as a Mets fan? We're going to miss you, man. I hope you come back. I think you will. Come on. It's born in us. We can't get rid of it. It's like a disease. We just can't keep away. It's just this team has got us wrapped around their fingers for whatever reason. I hope you'll be back. He says he's now a Texas Rangers fan. At least they try and have chemistry. All right. Well, we'll miss you, Frankie. Jeremy says, makes you wonder if they're keeping second base open for Beatty or someone in the farm if Simeon can't produce any hits. Potentially a call-up for AJ. I think we're a little off from that. I think they're going to keep giving Simeon some run, but early going, it's been rough. Joe Saturn easily could have been 2-4. It easily could have also been 4-2 or even 5-1 if we're being honest. That's the annoying thing about this, but I'd lean more toward 2-4. I'm with you, Joe. They haven't looked good so far. And Frankie finally says, Nimmo, Simeon trade, a nightmare. So far, it looks like the Mets have gotten the shorter end of the stick there. Can't argue that. Cannot argue that. So, guys, it's a really tough loss. It's a really tough series. Mets are 3-3. They lose in walk-off fashion. They've now lost 2 out of their 3 extra inning games so far this year. And this one equally as excruciating as the one on Sunday with the potential tying run getting thrown out at home for the first out of the inning. But we'll be back at it tomorrow, guys. More Mets content. Hopefully not more pain and misery, but that is what today is. So I appreciate y'all tuning in. Be sure to leave this video a like on your way out and hit that subscribe button if you are not already subscribed to the channel for more daily Mets content, post-game streams, and so much more in between. I appreciate y'all being here. It's a rough one today. It's a rough series out there. I'm happy the Mets are hitting the road again and getting out of Dodge from St. Louis, Missouri, because that sucked. That just absolutely sucked. But thank you guys once again. That's going to do it for right now, though. Till next time, I'm Tony Metro. Stay true to the orange and blue.